while people just stand around, recording policemen, hold a man down till his breath ran out. My eyes can't take another black man down, while other blacks stand round, yelling, officer, stand down, instead of putting hands down. Y'all come on now, when the time gon' come for you to put fist up and give a black man pound, shoulder to shoulder, stand round and say, I dare y'all now.
If one fall, we all fall. If one call, we all call. You watching him take his last breath, but silence is death. That's on y'all. Stand round, stand proud, stand tall. No more victims in the shadows of the law. Hands up, fists tight, we brawl. Justice no big gift, we must take it all. Stand round, stand proud, stand tall.
All right. I hope everybody is having a phenomenal first week of 2026. This will be our first full week of 2026, and I hope it's going well for you, right? I hope you got all of the presents that you wanted and blah, blah, blah. It's the new year. It's time to get back to work. And the first thing we're going to be talking about today, we're going to talk about this thing that's going on with Vivek Ramaswamy. We're going to talk about Adam Mockler. Adam Mockler, he's a young progressive guy. He's about 23, 24 years old, somewhere around there. He went on Jubilee. He did this around it. Adam Mockler versus 20 Republicans, I believe it was. We're going to talk about this thing that's going on over in Venezuela. For a long time, the Trump administration has been saying, hey, it's because of drugs. It's because of drugs. They went and captured Maduro, and then they said it's because of oil. So we're going to get into that a little bit as well. Remember, if you like the stream, if you like it, drop a like, share it with somebody, share it with your mom, share it with your dog, share it with somebody. That's how we get out there. That's how we spread the message, right? And if you want one of the hats, I have a different colorway on. If you like one of the hats, this is what they look like. This is the side. There will be a link down in somewhere on the video, right? Probably down in the description. And of course, I always appreciate the support. Now let's talk about Vivek. Vivek Ramaswamy is, he's been run off of Twitter, right? He's been run off of Twitter essentially by people that are on the right, supposed to be in his party, that don't want him there, that don't really care for his ideas. They don't want to hear what he has to say. And for some reason, he thought that he was going to lecture them on what America should be, what the policy should be, and then they were just going to have a change of heart. It's not working. So the first thing I want to show you is he's saying that he's not going to be on Twitter now, but before he was run out of the town square, I want to show you this clip from Nick Fuentes that said, hey, I'm going to use all of my power, all of my might, and we're going to fight Vivek Ramaswamy until he quits. This is what Nick Fuentes said, maybe a month ago. Let's check this out.
Like I said, I think I'm going to go to Ohio, and the word that we're looking for is denial. We have to deny Vivek Ramaswamy the governorship. This is the only race I care about in 26. It's the only one I care about. People talk about, well, we got to keep the House and whatever. This is the race that I care about. This anchor baby cannot become the governor of Ohio. I don't care if it's a Jewish woman that wins. The anchor baby cannot become the governor of Ohio, because what kind of message would that send? That sends a message that you could say and do anything to white people. They'll tolerate any level of disrespect. White people tell themselves, well, I got to go and vote. I mean, what are we going to have, a Democrat? You're going to affirmatively vote for somebody that has told you that he owns your country. Your heritage means nothing. Your ancestry, the struggles of your ancestors means nothing. So what means anything to you? Seriously.
All right, so what is Nick Fuentes talking about? Last year, they had a TPUSA event. I believe it was over in Arizona. Vivek Ramaswamy, he's one of the speakers. He's on stage. And because he's been receiving so much backlash, what he gets up there and says is, hey, we don't do identity politics. There's no such thing as a heritage American. No American, there's not tiers. Like, this American doesn't mean more than this one, right? This is what Vivek gets up there and says at the TPUSA event. While his sentiment while I feel his sentiment, that is just not how the real world is operating, right? That's not how people see it. And it's especially not how people on the far right see it. People that are aligned with Nick Fuentes, right? Maybe Vivek is not paying attention. Maybe he's not talking to the people that have these ideologies, but these ideologies 100% certainly exist on the far right, right? Now, Nick Fuentes is one of the leaders of this movement. A lot of young people are listening to him. So not only is he saying that he's going to mobilize his audience, his platform, and they're going to go to Ohio and campaign essentially against Vivek Ramaswamy, he's constantly receiving online backlash because, it's Vivek Ramaswamy is an Indian American. He's a brown-skinned guy. And no matter how much he tries to capitulate to the right, no matter how much he tries to cosplay, putting on a cowboy hat and boots and showing up to a rodeo or a fair, people on the right are not feeling that. People on the far right are not feeling that. They're never going to allow you in the club, no matter how much you beg, no matter how much you plead, no matter how much you kick and scream. They're just not having it. And unfortunately for Vivek, he is learning the hard way. So that was Nick Fuentes, but that's not where we're going to stop. I'm going to read you Vivek Ramaswamy's statement. So it says, on New Year's Eve, I deleted X and Instagram from my phone. I spent my newfound time listening to more voters in real world Ohio, developing more policies to make our state affordable, and being more present with my family. I predict that ending my consumption of social media will make me a better leader and a happier man. So Vivek Ramaswamy, he said, hey, I'm not going to be on social media constantly getting ridiculed. I'm going to get out. I'm going to talk to the voters. I'm going to find out what's happening in these communities. I 100% feel him. There is a lot of bots that are online. Obviously, everybody knows that. There's a lot of fake accounts. There's a lot of propaganda that happens online. And it's not necessarily a pulse of what people in your community or the community you're trying to represent are feeling, right? But this far right group of guys that are, or women as well, this far right group of people that are not feeling somebody like Vivek because he practices a different religion, because he's an Indian American. Nick Fuentes called him an anchor baby, right? This is what they think about people that don't look like them, people that are not what they call heritage Americans. They do look at those people as second class, right? So you're running on the right trying to appeal to them, and they're telling you verbatim over and over and over, we don't fuck with you. We don't want you. They're calling you anchor baby. They're calling you, I'm not going to repeat the J word that they said, but they're calling them that as well. They're telling them, get out the country, right? But Vivek, he has to take it because he's trying to represent the right. He's one of these people that says, the right and the left as well, champion free speech. So you literally have to sit there and take it what people are saying. And at some point, he's like, yo, I've had enough. I've had enough. I'm not going to sit here and listen to this. And people are making fun of him about it. He had a tweet. Let me see if I can find it. He said, if you're scared of your comment section, you're not fit to lead. This is what Vivek Ramaswamy put out to the world less than a month ago, 3 weeks ago. He said, hey, if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. And then what does he do? He can't take the heat. He deletes social media off of his phone, Twitter, X, and he's like, Twitter and Instagram. He's like, yo, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to get out and talk to people. You've said yourself that you're not fit to lead based on your past statements. And I think that it's not just Nick Fuentes, right? It's not just Nick Fuentes that's going to make Vivek end up losing when he runs the governor's race in Ohio, right? It's actually Vivek himself that's going to make him end up losing because he has contradictory statements like this. Because who you purport to be is not who you actually are, right? He talks about how he believes in the American people and all of this stuff. But just last Christmas, right? Christmas of 2024, he had the statement where he said, hey, we have to import more H-1B visa workers because the American population is undereducated. They have the wrong incentives and they have the wrong culture around education, right? I think I just said something about education. If you guys don't remember that statement, Here it is. I'm just going to read an excerpt from it. I'm not trying to read the whole thing. It says, our American culture has venerated mediocrity over let me pull this up. It says, our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s and likely longer. That didn't start in college. It starts young. The culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. So he said, hey, we need to start. This is what I'm saying about Vivek. The sentiment is right. The sentiment is, hey, we should reward the person that is highly educated, highly skilled, not just the athlete, not just the person that is quote unquote popular because they're outgoing or they know how to talk to girls or whatever makes them popular. Vivek is not living in the real world. People are polarized by somebody like Donald Trump, right? People are drawn to Donald Trump. You could say he's an idiot. You could say he's a fascist, whatever it is. He's essentially saying, hey, you should pick me as the guy that's popular over somebody like Donald Trump. But you don't have the charisma of Donald Trump. You don't have the appeal of somebody like Donald Trump. That's why when Vivek ran against him in 2024, he lost, right? He dropped out of the primary, ended up supporting Donald Trump because no matter how much you try to appeal to the people that are on the right, you're not what they're looking for. As evidenced by his comment section, as evidenced by Nick Fuentes and the statement that he made, right? Saying that he's going to use his leverage, use his power, and use his platform in order to make sure that Vivek loses. He doesn't believe in the ideals that Vivek purports to represent. And Vivek is learning that the hard way. I think I have one more thing up here. Okay, this is what's the guy's name? Let's just play it. Let me check this out.
You say you are anti-identity politics. Yeah.
This is Mehdi Hassan. He's a journalist, and he's having a conversation with Vivek Ramaswamy about him getting some scholarship money.
Anti-affirmative action in a party that hates the Soros name, yet you accepted a Paul and Daisy Soros scholarship at law school that was specifically set up for the children of immigrants. It was an affirmative action scholarship, and your defense for that is that you didn't have the money to pay for law school, even though you'd already made over $1 million at the time and made another $2 million.
My defense of that is somebody gives you a merit scholarship at the age of 24, you take it. At the age of 24, somebody gives you a merit scholarship, you take it. I didn't say I didn't have the money. I said at a time when I had a lot less money than now, $50,000
you said exactly,
still useful
I didn't have the money
to me.
Vivek. You keep forgetting your quote. You said, when I didn't have the money.
So Mehdi, I've made this really easy for everybody.
So that's who Vivek Ramaswamy is, right? Mehdi Hassan calls him out, says, yo, you said that you are against affirmative action, and you still took this scholarship from George and whoever his wife is, Soros, somebody that the right opposes. So Vivek, he wants to move the goalposts and shift the world to bend to his current reality or what he thinks it should be. And that's just not the way that the world works. There are people with different opinions, dissenting opinions, and they're not feeling Vivek, not in the party that he's trying to run in, right? He always talks about the left plays identity politics, but the right does as well. The right looks at somebody like him, and the truth is they have a reaction of disgust for whatever reason, for a myriad of reasons. We've already talked about them. If you're living out in the real world, you can see this in the way that people respond on Twitter, the way they react. So Vivek, he's going to have a rough time going for this governorship in Ohio. I don't think that he's going to win, right? And it's not directly because of Nick Fuentes, but there is an ideology, and Nick Fuentes is a leader of that ideology, but he's not the only person that's making it tough for him. As a matter of fact, let me pull this other thing up. There's a gentleman over in, what is it? What's this dude's name? Something Fishback. This dude over in Florida that's running for governor, and he has something to say about Vivek as well. Somebody that's politically aligned, somebody has the same type of ideology. I don't know what his James Fishback's platform is in terms of size, but he has the same ideology as somebody like Nick Fuentes, and he's weaponizing that against Vivek. Just listen to what he has to say. This is what Vivek is up against with his counterparts or or the constituents that he's trying to appeal to on the right.
There is a fork in the road. I told that to Vivek, and he said, "What's a fork?" But look. It's weird. We're all wearing shoes. It's weird. We do that in our country.
Look, here you go. Look at this guy. He looks like he might be, I don't know what his ethnicity is, but he definitely doesn't look like a white guy, right? Got the America First hat on, obviously a follower of Nick Fuentes. That's his platform's name. And James Fishback is making jokes that appeal to these people, and they're laughing. Haha, Vivek doesn't use a fork. Vivek comes from a culture that they don't use shoes. This is what he's saying. And this is the type of person that's on the right or on the far right that Vivek is trying to appeal to. And you're never going to win their hearts and minds, because not only do you not look how they want you to look, you're also not ideologically aligned with them. So it's an uphill battle, and he's going to lose this, just like he lost the presidential primary in 2024. And, you know, money can buy you a lot of things, but it can't buy you hearts and minds. It can buy you temporary loyalty, but when you're talking about a broad scale of people, it's just not going to get you where you need to go, as evidenced by Zohran Mamdani winning over in New York. We're going to talk about Zohran a little later in the broadcast, but this is what he's up against, and it's not going to work. There's nothing that he can do about it. So you guys let me know what you think about this entire debacle with Vivek Ramaswamy. He's quitting Twitter, he's quitting social media, and he's been run out of the town square because even though he said if you can't take the heat, then you have no right in leadership, he's showing that he can't take the heat. So rightfully so, people should denounce his candidacy. He should denounce his candidacy and say, hey, I'm going to drop out. This isn't for me. If he doesn't, then the people will decide for him. Sooner or later, it will be decided. All right, so let's move on to this next thing. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Asking me to stand down while people just stand around. Recording policemen, hold a man down till his breath ran out. My eyes can't take another black.
Okay, I lied. We're back quicker than I thought we would. Back on this Vivek thing, right? Real quick, I want to show you this. This gentleman, his name is, I think it's Liban Muhammad. So he is running for Congress over in Utah, right? Up here it says Utah 1st District. He's running for Congress. Just put out this video. It's 1 million views, but check out the number of likes versus the number of comments. What does this tell you? This tells you an obvious reality about the same thing that's going on with Vivek. These people are going to look at you before they listen to you, before they have a chance to see if they're ideologically aligned. They're already prejudiced. You're already prejudiced just by the way you look to them. So I can tell you what these comments are going to look like. This first one says, video, it says, sounds like a deportation list, video directed by, and then you have some names here that he's saying, hey, these don't look like the one guy 55, right? It says, let me tell you how to run your country. Look, this is what they think of the people that are trying to appeal to them. This guy, Liban Muhammad, is not, he's a Democrat or a progressive or whatever it is. But Vivek is trying to appeal to the people that this is what they put in Vivek's comments every day. Every day, every time he opens his mouth, doesn't matter what the topic is, doesn't matter if he's spouting something that they should agree with or not. This is what his comments are going to look like, because this is what those folks think of him. And he still has to sit there and take it. He has to be a punching bag for them because he said, hey, I'm a Republican and I believe the same things as you, so you get to walk all over me over and over again. And he's going to do it. He's going to continue to do it. He's going to continue holding the water for them. He's going to continue being a doormat for them until he says enough is enough. He tried the tough talk. He got up on stage at Turning Point and said, you have no place in the Republican Party if you said that word, right? If you called an Indian American or J.D. Vance's wife, and what did they do? Okay, they're going to double down more because they know that it bothers you. They know that you don't like it. And this is internet culture. This is bully culture. And this is the culture of people. This is the culture and ideology of people on the far right. All right, now we're going to move on. So what do we have next? Adam Mockler. I want to play you a compilation of some stuff from Adam Mockler. I really, really like this dude. Like I said, he's a younger guy. He's about 23, 24. And he makes a name. He's made a name for himself from going on CNN, for showing up at Turning Point, and basically debunking some of the ideas that people on the right had. So this is a conversation about Trump. It says up here, Trump is causing the rise of fascism in this generation, right? Like younger millennials. Let's check out the conversation that they end up having.
When you're attaching the term fascist, you're talking about Nazis. You're talking about specifically Nazis. And when they say oppression...
Not just Nazis.
I'm saying specifically for what I'm saying. The suppression of the opposition, when they're calling Trump Hitler, they're calling conservatives...
Who's they? J.D. Vance?
I'm sorry, leftist. When the leftists...
Which leftist politician? Can you name one?
I think you're moving the goalpost here.
Wait, no. Can you name one leftist politician who has called Trump Hitler?
It's every single... It's like...
So you shouldn't be throwing this out when no leftist politicians have actually called Trump Hitler.
See, this is the problem with social media. She's probably heard this somewhere, whether it be a clip on Fox News or I think there's a right-wing website called Town Hall. People are throwing this out and she's believing it. She's having conversations and reading articles and watching videos where people say, oh, well, the left is calling Trump Hitler or whatever. The only political person, the only politically aligned person with power that is called Trump Hitler, as Adam Mockler pointed out, and I'm going to take his word for it here because I'm not going to argue the point, right? It's not my argument, is J.D. Vance. That's what he says. She can't name a single person of prominence that has called President Trump what she's claiming. And she gets backed into a corner. And look at all of these red flags that immediately go up. When more than half of the flags go up, it's time for you to get off the panel. So immediately after she makes the claim, they recognize that there is blood in the water.
Pointing out the term fascism.
Is saying that an election was stolen when it wasn't fascism? Wait, do you think the 2020 election was stolen?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know because I'm not
and honestly,
up in power to
this
find
proves
that
my
out.
point. Trump is causing a rise of fascism in our generation. I would never say that you're a fascist, but I think there is a normalization of an ideology where people are denying elections. You don't even know if the 2020 election was stolen. This isn't America. The 2020 election was not stolen.
When you were attacked...
He actually does go into his definition of fascism, and I don't know if I had that clip, but it's important, the working definitions that we use, right? He talks about an authoritarian, a cult of personality, crushing dissent, all of these different things. And the working definitions are important. So if I have that clip, I'll play it. I'm not entirely sure that I do. But based on what he says, he makes a sound argument. Based on his definition that he gives, he makes a sound argument. And if you haven't seen the entire video, you should definitely check it out. Adam Mockler, he's interesting. He's always coming with a set of facts. They're hard-hitting. And he stumped a number of times people on the CNN panels that he's on. So here's another clip. Let's see what this one says.
No male friends if you've never been in a room where people
male friends
say the N-word as a joke. It's
my male
everyone
friends.
does that.
Okay, so real quick. It says, she says everyone says the N-word as a joke. And if you don't, you're probably surrounded by homosexuals. I asked the men in the room to back her up. Dead silence. See, a lot of people do say the N-word, but a lot of people that are not black, they know that it's shameful for them to say it, right? If you don't think black people should say it, then that's your prerogative. I say it amongst the people that I'm having conversations with, right? But there is a level of scrutiny that is tied to people that are outside of the black race saying it. So nobody on here is going to admit it. They may actually say it, but they know that it's shameful for them to admit that they say it. She don't feel the same way. She feels like, hey, I say it. It's not an issue. And, she's left on the island here.
It's true. And it's if not, you're probably
not
surrounded
everyone
by
does that.
homosexuals. So I'm a lot more concerned about the rise of violent left-wing rhetoric among Gen Z than so-called fascism, because I'm sorry, if you think that chat was any sort that meant that fascism is on the rise, it's you've never been at Call of Duty lobby.
I don't know if he's going to bring this up, but he's talking about that young Republican chat where JD Vance started saying, oh, well, it's just a bunch of young kids. And it turned out it was a guy, I think he was trying to be a senator or he was a sitting senator. It was like a 43-year-old dude in the chat. These were not kids. It was a ton of, 18 and over men as well. There might have been some young people that were in there, but it was a bunch of 18 and over men. Some of them held political office. Some of them had some ties or some power within politics.
Like, it's called making edgy jokes. Okay?
Wait a minute. You make those types of jokes?
I don't personally, but like that's like every young man ever has like made a joke.
Raise
like
your
that
hand
in
if you make those
private,
types of
let's
jokes.
be for real. Like,
okay, so no one will actually admit it because it's kind of weird.
The difference is that young leftists genuinely worshipped the murder of Charlie Kirk and Luigi Mangione, who are people committing genuine acts of violence, and they genuinely condoned that. That's serious, and the political group chat was a joke, and you know that.
Okay, so your concession is that, people talk like fascists in private sometimes, but you're worried that leftists are using increasingly violent rhetoric like the people that you were talking about.
Because
Luigi
one
Mangione
thing is
supporters.
serious and one thing is a joke.
Okay, I want to ask you one thing. Did one Democratic politician support what Luigi did? Can you name any?
There were a bunch of people that were joking about Charlie Kirk's passing. And this is the thing. People want to draw the line at where they're offended. They're like, oh, I'm offended by that, so it's not a joke. Wait a minute. I thought we were about free speech and people could say whatever it is that they want, right? So the thing that happened with Charlie Kirk, it was absolutely horrible, right? It was insane. I can't believe that was even floating around on Twitter, if I'm being completely honest with you. But you can't say, oh, well, these people get to make this joke, even though it's offensive to Black Americans. But if you joke about something that's sensitive to me, then that's where I draw the line. This is crazy. This is the hypocrisy that you see from people on the right when they try to call out people on the left and say, oh, well, they're snowflakes. You're like, wait a minute. But the thing that makes you cry is this thing. And the thing that makes me cry is this. So we both have sensitivities, but only mine get called out. It's hypocrisy. And let me be clear, we're all hypocrites. Anyway, let's go on to the next Adam Mockler clip. I think I have one more. And I think this is where he defines fascism. So I should have probably played this one first, but it's pretty good. Let's check this out.
Damn. Hey, Adam, I'm Scotty.
Nice to meet you, Scotty.
When you attach fascism to Trump's name, that is a slap in the face to all the Jews who were exterminated under fascist law.
Fascism doesn't just have to do with Jews. Donald Trump is absolutely...
No, it was Hitler. When you think of fascism, you think of two people. You think of Hitler and you think of Mussolini, who killed...
See, the issue is, yes, those things are incredibly important, but you want to limit the definition to what you want it to apply to. It's a broader definition. Yes, these people fall in that category, but when you exclusively put it to them, then you leave out all of the people in their acts that align with this definition or align with these actions. So let's let Adam rebuttal and see what his definition is.
Millions and millions of people. Trump is not that.
What's your definition of fascism?
I would say fascism is a one person or one party who is silencing and who is demeaning and who is, I guess you would say, opposing and silencing any other opposition.
It's kind of right.
I know it's more nuanced to that.
I'd say a better definition is a far-right authoritarian ideology with one leader at the top with a cult of personality who forcibly suppresses opposition, as you said, but at the same time, he erodes democratic norms and there is hyper-militarization involved, military in the streets. Do you disagree with any of that?
I agree with you that Trump did send in the National Guard to Chicago.
Which one of those descriptions does not describe Trump? All of those terms.
Hey, I'm not going to lie to you. Adam was killing him. He gives the entire definition. It was like, okay, now that we've established the battlefield in which we're discussing this fascism, which one of those things doesn't apply to Trump? And the guy, obviously, I can't remember what the clip said, but he's not going to have a rebuttal.
I would say that Trump, I guess you say, what are his motives behind doing these certain things, right? Because you're asking me,
I gave you a definition.
You're saying these things.
No. You were pressing me on the definition of fascism.
Okay.
So I gave you a few qualities. Which of those qualities does not describe
Okay,
Trump?
say those qualities one more time.
It is a far-right authoritarian ideology with one leader at the top who is a cult of personality. He forcibly suppresses opposition. They like hyper-militarization
Okay, so
and
forcibly,
eroding.
I disagree with forcibly doing that. Give me an example right now about forcibly.
You know, a really good example is lately Jimmy Kimmel was taken off air by the FCC
Okay,
because the FCC.
I knew we were going to go here with Jimmy Kimmel.
Wait, listen, no.
That's not.
Did you hear? You know who the FCC commissioner is?
Yes. Okay.
Who is
no,
it?
I actually don't know
Brendan
exactly
Carr.
who it is, but I know what
It is Brendan Carr. So if you don't know who it is, then you might not know that Brendan Carr said in an interview, "We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way." It was essentially a mobster threat. Other than
Yeah, so I'm sure you guys remember that, but essentially what he's saying is Trump is using his authority or he's aligning himself with loyalists in order to push his agenda. And, you know, whether you agree or not, I think Adam Mockler, whether you agree with Adam or not, I think he does make a good argument based on the working definition that he wanted to use there. So that's Adam Mockler. You should check him out. He has some pretty good content. Dude's got like 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube. He's definitely killing it. Let's talk about, this is what I wanted to show you guys. We're going to move on. We're talking about Venezuela, right? This entire ordeal that's been happening with Venezuela, where we are initially bombing their boats and then it escalated. And then on January 3rd, we went and picked up their president. We brought him back to America. He is currently on trial, or he's not on trial, but he's been charged with some stuff and he's pled not guilty either yesterday or today. Now, Trump initially said, hey, this is all about drugs. We just want to stop the flow of drugs into the US. And a lot of people, rightfully so, called bullshit. They said, this is not about drugs. This is very clearly about oil. That's right, class. It's about oil. And once Maduro was captured, everybody was like, no, this is about drugs because that's what Trump said at first. And then Trump pivoted and immediately started saying, oh, well, we're going to move the oil companies in and they're going to take it and we're going to make ourselves rich. We're going to make the oil companies rich and we're going to make Venezuela rich. This is not what Trump ran on. He said an entire different campaign when all of this started back in 2024, when he was on the campaign trail and people were rooting for him. He had an entirely different tone. So I'm going to show you this compilation from CNN. You tell me what you think. Is this what, if you're a Trump supporter, you tell me if this is what you voted for? Because I understood it that he said, no foreign wars. We're going to make America great again. We're going to tariff and bring manufacturing back to the U.S., which is something that I support. I support bringing manufacturing back in-house as much as we can. But the things that Trump is implementing now are not the agenda that he ran on in 2024, right? And I know that there are quite a few people that are having buyer's remorse, but in terms of what's happening with Venezuela, check this out.
In the last few days about foreign interventions to the kinds of things he said previously when it comes to the campaign trail and as he was running for office.
Colombia is very sick too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States, and he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you. We believe that the job of the United States military is not to wage endless regime change wars. You have to do something with Mexico. Mexico has to get their act together because they're pouring through Mexico, and we're going to have to do something. The cartels are running Mexico, whether you like it or not.
So real quick, he said, oh, we're not going to be doing endless regime change wars. Let me remind you, the operation with Maduro was quick, right? They went in there, they snatched him. I think they said it was about 30 minutes from the time that they got on ground to the time that they fought and got him on the plane or got him on the helicopter and on the bus and on his way back to the U.S., right? A very quick operation. The U.S. military does what it does. And we do it exceptionally, or they do it. I'm not in the military anymore. They do it exceptionally well, right? Whatever their job is. Now, if you don't remember, Trump said, hey, if we didn't get it the first time, we were willing to have boots on the ground and do a sustained attack. This is what Trump said. So while in 2024, he campaigned on, oh, we're not going to do these long-term campaigns or these wars. He 100% had a plan that if this went awry, that he was going to send more people in until they got what it is that they wanted, right? He's talking now about, oh, we're going to occupy Venezuela. So we'll see what that looks like. They're trying to make some sort of deal with the lady. I think her name is Delgi Rodriguez or something like that. Whatever her name is. The vice president that's now been elevated, they're trying to make a deal with her. But what if she says no, right? What if she wants to keep doing deals with Russia and China? Are we going to start taking out, are we going to go back and take her out too until we get somebody in there that we want? That's when you start getting into these long-term operations that Trump said that he was against. All right, let's roll the clip.
It's not nice to say, but the cartels are running Mexico. We will stop racing to topple foreign, and you understand this, foreign regimes that we know nothing about, that we shouldn't be involved with.
There's been protesters killed in Iran.
If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United States. Regime change.
See, this is the game plan, man. It's all nice when you don't have the power. But when you have the power and you want to move the chessboards and you want to make the deals that you want to make, Pete Hegseth said, hey, basically, it's not verbatim, but Pete Hegseth basically said, we're going to do whatever the fuck we want until it's in our favor. So this is the way the game is played. At least, you know, by the U.S., this is how we do it. We may slap other people's hands or put sanctions on them or chastise them on the global stage. But when we want to move the pieces, we move them without impunity. That's just the way things go. So as you're seeing, Trump is not living up to the expectation that he gave his voters, right? However many people voted for him, they said, this is what we want. Just last year, 12, 14 months later, he's singing an entirely different tune.
In Iraq, regime change in Libya, regime change in Syria, and every other globalist disaster for half a century. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security, and Denmark is not going to be able to do it.
We also need Colombia, we need Canada, we need Venezuela. If you just say everything is a crisis, nothing becomes a crisis. And that's how Trump is trying to play it up in the media. And that's why he wasn't able to do it without any criticism, but that's why he was able to do what he did over in Venezuela. They've been playing it up for so long saying, oh, it's because of the drugs. We got to get them. Maduro was at the top of a drug trafficking regime. So he used that as a pretext after playing it up in the media, getting them to echo the things that he's been saying, went to a foreign country, toppled the current leader, and said, hey, we're going to run the country, or we're going to put our thumb on whoever's there for them to do what it is that we want to do. This is the game plan, right? This is the capital interests that are a puppet master behind the people that we elect. I'm sorry, I'm messing up a little bit. This is the puppet master behind the people that we reelect. It's always, always, always the people with the money. So that's Trump. That was him singing his tune before. This is John Fetterman. John Fetterman is a Democrat, but he's kind of he's a Democrat in name only. Anytime that there's something that Republicans are gung-ho about, John Fetterman is usually on that side as well. So here's him on Fox News saying, hey, we're the good guys. If we go take out Venezuela, it's because there's an issue and because we're trying to, spread democracy and do things for the good of the Venezuelan people. It's not about the oil. It's obviously about the oil. Here is John Fetterman.
Chris Murphy, your Democratic colleague, called the operation wildly illegal. America doesn't want this war. Nobody asked for this. And I think the most important conversation to have is Venezuela is not a security threat to the United States. They're not threatening to invade us. Do you want to take this on?
They're not a security threat, but we already used the pretext of drugs. And then immediately after we got him out of there, we said, oh, it's about the oil. We're going to move the oil companies in. They're going to invest, I think they said like $100 billion in infrastructure in order to get that oil. Okay. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page because CNN and Fox News, they're going to put their spin on it, but these are the facts. This is what Trump is saying verbatim. They can put their propaganda on it to make it sound better or make it sound like America needed to do this. But at the end of the day, this is not what people voted for.
I mean, I respect my friend in Connecticut, but we have different views on this and perhaps other views as well. I just said this on my social media that, remind everybody that America is a force of good, order, and democracy, and we are promoting these kinds of values. We are the good guys. Let's pretend that now we are acting in a way. Now, remember, we all Democrats years ago wanted to eliminate him.
Okay, so he talks about how Democrats put a $25 million bounty on his head and all of this stuff. I don't really care about that. I care about the part where he says, we Americans, we're the good guys. We're the good guys, or we're supposed to be the good guys in our eyes. Do you think all of the people that we topple, or the people that we're going in their country and kicking their ass, do you think that those people think that we're good guys? Do you think that just because we're imposing our will, we should be seen as, the force of good? Who the fuck said that we get to decide what other countries do? Nobody, right? But like we used to say when I was in, do what your rank can handle. If nobody's going to come beat you up about it, you can be a bully in perpetuity. So that's what America does. We have the most money. We have the biggest military. We have the nicest toys. So we just walk around with our dick swinging. And who's going to call us out? Nobody. All right. So there is one more thing I want to show you. It is Stephen Miller having an absolute meltdown because of this entire situation. He didn't like how the conversation was going with George. I can't say that dude's name. Stephanopoulos. Oh, no, this is Jake Tapper. All right, this is Stephen Miller on CNN having a complete meltdown. Check this out.
That the recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, opposition leader Machado in Venezuela, doesn't have the support in Venezuela to become the next president or the interim leader. And I wonder where he got that from, given that basically her cutout, Gonzalez, won the election last year, 2 years ago, overwhelmingly, 70% of the vote or something like that. Why does the president think that Machado should not be the next leader? Why does he think she's weak?
First of all of Venezuela experts agree, that it would be absurd and preposterous for us to suddenly fly her into the country and to put her in charge. And the military would follow her and the security forces would follow her.
See, they think, I do agree with Stephen Miller here, that they think it would be absurd for them to fly in some sort of new leadership. But you didn't think it was absurd to fly in there and take the current president. Towards the end of Maduro's time in his country, he wanted to make a deal. So you think that one is absurd, putting somebody there, but taking somebody out, you don't think is absurd. And I'm in complete disagreement.
This is not a serious, it's not even a serious question.
So should there be an election?
Let me, if you give me the floor for 30 seconds, let me tell you what we are doing here, Jake. The United States, this is sort of foundational. The United States is using its military to secure our interests unapologetically in our hemisphere. We're a superpower, and under President Trump, we are going to conduct ourselves as a superpower. It is.
See, there you go. This is our side of the world, so we get to do whatever the hell we want. Okay, we can keep playing this game, man, but how long can we poke the bear before the bear strikes back? People start teaming up like goddamn Power Rangers, and I forgot what the little thing where they all formed together in. But we're going to rule the day, right? We should mind our fucking business. We got plenty of problems right here at home in America. Like I keep saying on the streams, 42 million people are relying on SNAP benefits. And Stephen Miller is on CNN saying this is our hemisphere. We're going to invade other countries if it's in our best interest to get their oil. He's saying it verbatim. They wanted to say it was about drugs at first. And now they're telling you, hey, this oil is in our hemisphere. That's a weaker country. It belongs to us. They can't sell it to China. They can't sell it to Russia. He's telling you verbatim. And like my generation says, we have a saying, when people show you who they are, you believe them.
It's absurd that we would allow a nation in our own backyard to become the supplier of resources to our adversaries, but not to us, to hoard weapons from our adversaries, to be able to be positioned as an asset against the United States rather than on behalf of the United States.
Sovereign countries shouldn't be able to do what they want to do.
The Monroe Doctrine and the Trump Doctrine is all about securing the national interests of America. For years,
the Trump Doctrine is all about conquest, right? If we want it and you have it, we will fucking take it. That's what Stephen Miller has said.
we sent our soldiers to die in deserts in the Middle East to try to build them parliaments, to try to build them democracies, to try to give them more oil, to try to give them more resources. The future of the free world, Jake, depends on America being able to...
Yes, yes. We sent our troops over to the Middle East because we just wanted to do so much good in that region. We had nothing that we were trying to get. We were never going to be at any benefit. We just wanted to help these people. That's why we spent so long over in the Middle East. Yes. Thank you, Stephen Miller, for lying right to our fucking faces. Or maybe he's enlightening us. Maybe we just didn't know. Maybe I'm just misinformed. And we're going to bring that same peace to Venezuela. We're going to do them a favor by extracting all of their oil and replacing their government with somebody that's going to be more favorable to the U.S. That's exactly what we need to start doing with all of the countries, right? We're going to bring freedom to everybody.
Assert ourselves and our interests without apology. This whole period that happened after World War II, where the West began apologizing and groveling and begging
I don't even know,
engaging these
honestly,
mass
what you're talking about
schemes.
right now.
What I'm talking about, Jake, is the idea, and by the way, you do, I know you love doing that smarmy thing, Jake, and I was hoping to be better than that this time.
I asked you about if there should be an election. I asked you if there would be an election in Venezuela. That's what I asked.
Why would we have an election? We're going to make a deal with the lady that's there, or we're going to take her ass out too. Don't you see that, Jake Tapper? I'm telling you right now, we're going to do what's in the best interest of America. Having an election with somebody that may or may not agree with America is not in our interest. Why the fuck would we do that? We're going to make a deal with Delcy Rodriguez, or whatever the lady's name is. I might be mispronouncing it. But if she doesn't acquiesce and give us what we want, then we'll just go kidnap her and her family as well. Isn't it obvious, Jake? I'm telling you right now.
I said, why was the president so quick to dismiss Machado? You answered that question. And then I said,
the objective, Jake, is security and stability for the people of Venezuela. With our help and leadership, that country will become more
42 million Americans on SNAP. That's what I'm going to tell you. Stop listening to these promises about stability. We do not have stability here. They had $6 billion in emergency SNAP funds. It costs $9 billion a month in order to supply that entire program. That's what we learned during the shutdown. People are making fun of Zohran Mamdani because he patched up some sort of uneven ground in New York that's hazardous to people, and they're laughing at him. They don't care about making America more efficient. The richest country in the world, right? Elon Musk, almost worth $1 trillion. And it's not his fault, right? If he built something and he owns it, he gets rewarded for that. But the way that they incentivize people to get rich but not pay back into the system, they don't care about the people that are here. They care about lining the pockets of the oil CEOs and further enriching their friends. That's what it is. I've beat a horse to death and beyond. So we're going to move on to something else. I don't want to talk about this Venezuela thing anymore. At this point, you guys can tell me what you think. I think it's an entire mistake. I think that we're inviting repercussions from this. But, time is the best truth teller. So we'll find out how other people react. Anyway, let's move on. What's another one? We're briefly going to talk about this. I don't have a lot on this, but Brandon Scott. Brandon Scott is I believe he's the mayor. Yeah, he's the mayor over in Baltimore. And they said that they brought the murders down to a 50-year low. And you guys know I'm in the DMV. I've been up to Baltimore a few times. And I got to say, this is phenomenal. This is phenomenal work by the folks that are over in Baltimore. So we're going to let Brandon Scott, flex a little bit. Let him talk about what he has done over in Baltimore to bring that murder rate down to a 50-year low, nearly 50-year low. So here it goes. Let's roll this clip.
To end 2025, murders down over 30% compared to last year. Over the past 5 years, murders and shootings down almost 60%. And yes,
and no Trump National Guard was deployed over there. They did this all for the back of the people that are doing work in the community, right? The local leaders, the mayor. This is who did that, not Trump saying, oh, we're going to, these streets are crime ridden and we have to deploy the National Guard into there and only I can fix it. They didn't need all of that. They needed community activists and leaders that can understand the people.
there was a spike everywhere in 2020, but this brings the city to its fewest murders in almost 50 years. What is the playbook here?
Well, listen, and for us, Omar, we didn't have a spike during COVID. What we decided to do in Baltimore is what so many cities have done in the past and that we're really focused on. It's understanding that we needed a comprehensive approach to reducing gun violence through a lens of public health, because gun violence is a public health issue, and focusing on all of the things, not one of the things, right? We have our group violence reduction strategy. We focus our police on.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think gun violence is a mental health crisis, because how do you get so mad that you don't have any regard for another human life? You're so upset about the situation, whatever it may be, whether it's over money, whether it's over disrespect, whether it's over a woman, that you go and you decide that you're going to take somebody's life. I don't know how you do that. If it's not in self-defense, right? I don't know how you get to that point. So I'm in disagreement there. But, you know, he enacted the strategy, him and his team and the community activists that are working hard over there. So I'm going to continue to let him get his stuff off.
On the small groups of folks who are most likely to be the victim or perpetrator of gun violence, and we give some folks opportunities. They get a letter from me telling them to change their life, or else we give those folks help. And when you think about the folks that have taken that help, over 90% of them have not recidivated. Over 90% of them have not been re-victimized. But we don't just stop there. That work goes alongside the work that our police officers do every day, seizing over 2,400 guns last year. Our work to go after.
I'm not going to lie to you. That's super interesting. He said, before we arrest you, if we see that you're going on a path that is not conducive to being a productive member of society, we're going to send you a letter. What does that tell you? That tells you that the government has their eyes on you, right? The government sees what you're doing, and you know, you haven't offended to the point where it's no return. So we're giving you an opportunity. Just go ahead and do something else with your life. And you know, I'm sure they send along some resources and different stuff that can help people turn their life around, give them education and stuff like that. But you see the trend. 2021 and 2022. A flat line right across, 322. It's going down and down and down. And they said this is almost a 50-year low. So this is phenomenal work. I love to see it. One of the reasons I wanted to talk about this real quick is because Zohran Mamdani, and you know, I'm talking about him ad nauseum, but he is the golden child right now in terms of stuff that's happening on the left. So it is interesting to see what he's doing and how that's going to have rippling effects into the future, right? Maybe they'll be bad, ripple effects. Maybe they'll be good. Like I said, time is a truth teller, so we'll find out soon enough. But the reason I wanted to listen to this and I wanted to see what he did is because Zohran Mamdani elected a gentleman called Myson. Myson was a criminal turned rapper turned activist, and a lot of people gave Zohran Mamdani flack for for picking Myson to be part of some committee, right? Some committee about street activism and speaking to the youth and talking about people and catching people before they commit a crime that's going to land them in jail, while they're in jail, and you know, reintroducing them into society. Myson is somebody that's been through the system. So when he got a lot of flack for that, I didn't understand it. I'm like, I thought that the entire point of jail was to rehabilitate people and introduce them back into the bounds of what we call polite society. But a lot of people gave him hell. Of course, there's going to be people on the right that were already looking for a reason to vilify him. but with some people on the left as well. So let me show you my son. I thought I had a picture of him, but it's not important. This is Zohran Mamdani's statement and explaining why he had my son as part of this committee.
Team of more than 400 we put together a team of more than 400 New Yorkers who are on 17 different committees, and these are New Yorkers who bring with them both a fluency of the policies and politics of the city, the places that they've succeeded, the places that they've failed. And we will take all of their experiences and their analysis into account as we build a city for each and every person.
Okay, why did I think that was important that Zohran Mamdani explained that? Because for too long, we have people, at least I see in my generation, you have people that are older trying to talk to people that are younger, going through struggles that didn't exist in previous generations. And they're telling them, all generations, they evolve, and your grandparents have no idea what you're going through in 2025, right? You have people that are older in number and never face these types of problems talking to a younger generation about how to change their life. And when they look at that person, they say, you've never been through the stuff that I've been through. You never been through anything. Like, you're squeaky clean as a whistle. You're a pastor. You're, a politician. You have no dirt on you to tell me how to live a clean life, right? But my son is somebody that's been through that. And what they're doing over in Baltimore is working, right? Whatever they did to go from 322 homicides in 2021 to I think it was like 133 in 2025. They've been doing phenomenal work. And that's because they're having people that can actually talk to the youth. It's not always about, oh, well, I just told that person to stay out of trouble that they're going to go to jail. Sometimes it's, hey, I have a relatable story and I can tell you the path that you're going down, like my son can, or, some people that are aligned with Brandon Scott. They can tell you more closely the path that you're going down and how to change your life around and some of the benefits that you can receive from some of the things that are going on in the community that are not crime related, right? I'm sure that when Brandon Scott was sending out those letters, they're telling people about resources and education programs to help them change their life around, to make different decisions. So I thought that was interesting, what's going on in Baltimore, and I thought that it was important to bring here. You guys let me know what you think, right? Like I said, this had nothing to do with Trump deploying the National Guard over there or anything like that. In those places that he has, we're going to see what those numbers look like. And I'm sure they're going to look better, right? And that's what we want. We want the murder rates to go down. But I think that it's a more long-term sustainable plan if you put people that are already in the community there in order to talk to the kids and people that have experience going through what the kids will go through or are going through currently that can help navigate and guide their life and get them back on the right track. All right, let's move on. So the last thing I want to talk about is this thing over in New York with Zohran. So here's a video of him exploring an apartment damn near on his first day in office, right? He took office on January 1st. He immediately got to work, which is what he said he was going to do. He spent a lot of that transition time from November to the end of 2025, just getting a feel for what people are going through and how to help them. So he emerges on January 1st. He says, hey, we're hitting the ground running. We're going in these houses, looking at the conditions. We're going to the roads and paving them. And this, you guys have probably seen this clip, but if not, let me show it to you. This is Zohran Mamdani doing a tour of a tenant's apartment to find out what the issues are.
When did this happen?
I can't remember exactly
the year.
More than years.
Mayor Zohran Mamdani inspecting broken floor tiles in an apartment on Clarkson Avenue in Prospect Lefferts Gardens, getting a first-hand look at the deteriorating conditions, from an eroding bathtub surface to a rust-covered, corroded bathroom pipe and red paint splashed about.
And you told the landlord about that?
Yes.
And what was the response?
Let me tell you something. This is America. There is no reason a single neighborhood, apartment, unit should look like this. Elon Musk lives in this country, is about to be a trillionaire. Donald Trump is sending money to all sorts of places. He's starting wars starting operations, military operations over in Venezuela. There should be no reason that in 2025, people are living in, I'm sorry to say this to her, I'm not trying to disrespect her situation. They should be living in squalor like this. No reason at all. And I'm glad that, Zoran Mamdani, for all the flack that he's gotten, he hit the streets, he hit the ground running, and he's finding out what the issues are. And he's like, we're going to resolve this because this is what we need. We need people that actually care. Too often politicians, they get into office and it's about furthering their political career, not actually fixing the things that they ran on. They spend the entire time that they're in office talking about how they can't get things done instead of getting out there and finding a way. And you got to remember, we pay these people salaries, whether it's Zoran, whether it's the president, whoever it is, that's if they're a federal employee, we pay their salary. And you wouldn't accept this type of service from anybody else. If somebody told you, if you lived in an HOA neighborhood and somebody told you, hey, you give me your money every month and I'm going to go send it to another HOA, or I'm going to make somebody else's community better, or I'm just going to spend the entire term that they're your board president complaining about the issues. I'm never going to visit the neighborhood and get the grass cut and hire contractors. You would say it's time to get a fucking new management company. And Zoran, like I said, he hit the ground running. I love it. Let's get back to this video.
Cause some numbers, but nobody want to do anything about it.
Residents in this same building and in others owned by the landlord Pinnacle Realty say they've experienced similar conditions, from leaking bathroom ceilings to moldy drywall. Tenant unions rallying in response, demanding stronger tenant protection.
By the way, the irony of this is their company is named Pinnacle Realty, right? Pinnacle, like the top, like the apex. And this looks like absolute shit, but
on his first day in office, Mamdani made his first major policy announcement, signing 3 executive orders aimed at protecting tenants and fast-tracking housing across the city. He said this building, along with 92 others owned by the same landlord, is currently in bankruptcy proceedings and set to be auctioned off to a new owner, one who also ranks among the city's worst landlords.
So they're going to go from one shitty ownership, one shitty management company, essentially, to a new shitty management company. There was something in here. Oh, I keep seeing this sentiment on Twitter where people are like, oh, Democrats could just get in office and do shit. He said that he's going to sign some, or the video said he signed some protections for tenants. I'm going to be entirely honest with you. I didn't do the reading on that. I don't know. I didn't do the homework. So, if somebody wants to help me cheat and put it down in the chat, if you know, let me know. But I don't know what it is that they're talking about in terms of what he's already implemented, if that's the rent stabilization or what. But one thing I do know for sure is he's putting together a board where he wants to talk to New Yorkers. He said he's going to go to all the different boroughs. He's going to have a day that they sit down, him and his staff, and they're going to listen to the issues. And just like he did on his first week, at least, if it's not his first day, his first week, he's going to find out what the issues are. And then we're just going to go do shit. We're just going to go fix it. And that's, I hope that they can bring some of that to the DMV, right? I hope that they can bring some of that to the DMV. Anyway, here is Zoran Mamdani talking about his plan to listen to New Yorkers and actually start addressing their problems head on. No waiting, no red tape, just action, straight action.
Have you ever rented an apartment in New York only to find yourself not just paying rent, but application fees, amenity fees, credit score checks? In a city filled with old buildings that could use some tender loving care, some landlords are taking advantage of the housing market to gouge tenants with outrageous fees, all while leaving them trying to survive in homes with collapsing ceilings and sinking floors. It's time for that to change. We need a citywide crackdown on rental ripoffs. We need to take on the indignities from those landlords who demand more than their fair share. That's why our administration is organizing a series of rental ripoff hearings in every borough. This is a chance for you and your neighbors to speak directly with us about how you're getting ripped off.
As I'm watching this, one of the first things that I'm thinking about, I've never, in the places that I did rent, I never had a situation where I was just paying a bunch of different fees. You have to pay a pet fee and stuff like that if you have a dog or a cat. But besides that, I never had to pay an exorbitant amount of fees. But I've also never lived in New York, so maybe I'm just unfamiliar with how they do business. But I do remember in the past, I want to say 8 years, there's been a scam where people take application fees from however many applicants, because they might charge like $25 or $50 for application, and they just deny every single person. So let's say they charge $50, they take 100 people, they just made $5,000, or what is that, $500, 5,000, whatever the number is, $5,000. So like these types of things happen, right? And I don't know if that's necessarily what he's cracking down on, but you see the lady living in the apartment and it's literally like cracks in the ceiling where it's going to be droplets of water. So that's obviously either a leak upstairs, or if she's upstairs, that's a leak in the roof, right? And he's saying no more of this. We're going to get to fixing the issues. We're going to find out what they are, and we're going to move quickly. We're not going to have handcuffs and be tied in forever debating these issues. So I love what's going on over in New York. I think I had one more thing that I wanted to show you. No, I think that's it. All right, so that's where we're going to end up wrapping up for the day. We talked a little bit about Vivek Ramaswamy, the problems that he's having, and why he's been run off of Twitter, right? The right, they're just not feeling him. And he's trying to appeal to people on the far right, and they're telling him, and they've been telling him for a long time, we don't like you, we don't want you, you need to get the fuck out. And it seems like he's finally taking the hint. A little bit of Adam Mockler. I don't know if you guys enjoyed that compilation of Adam Mockler owning some people on the right, owning MAGA, but I like seeing his clips. They kind of float around Twitter every now and again. And we talked a little about Trump and Venezuela, and this thing was over on Mamdani. If there's any part of the show that you like, let me know. I'd like to try to repeat the success that I have if you liked it. And if you don't, you're welcome to tell me you don't like it as well. I can take a little criticism. But until next time, I will catch you later. Be safe. Don't add to the population. Don't take away from the population. I will catch you next time. Peace.